What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and my new video series, Writing Tips, where every week I'm going to share with you my top tips to help you improve your writing, become more expressive, and build self-confidence at the same time, which is why I myself have started writing poetry in the first place, right? So for today's video, right, I'm going to share with you my top 5 tips to help you overcome stage fright, right? A little different this time, overcome stage fright. But before we dive into that, I want to talk to you guys about poetry for a little bit. And in my opinion, I believe there are 2 sides to poetry, right? Side number 1 is the physical writing, right? The actual writing of the poem. And majority of videos that I'm going to share with you guys are going to be tips to help you improve that aspect of your poetry and or your writing in general, right? And but side number 2 is the performance, right? You have to bring your piece to life. It doesn't do it full justice when someone just reads your piece, right? You have to perform it and give it life. Like I said, breathe life into those words that you put on paper. So with that said, we're gonna dive into these 5 tips that I have for you. And at the end of this video, I want you guys to go ahead and comment below and let me know if you think any of these tips are gonna help you, or if you have any other tips or things that you try to help you overcome your stage fright and build your confidence when it comes to performing your poetry, right? So tip number 1 is to practice in front of the mirror, right? And as weird as that sounds, right, I want you to practice in front of the mirror, because this is your perfect opportunity to see how you want your piece to look in terms of your performance, right? So you can work on the tone, work on your body language. If the poem is happy, you want your performance to reflect happiness. If it's sad or is it conversational, right? You want your performance to reflect how you want the poem, reflect what the poem is, right? And your hand gestures, your facial expressions, perfect opportunity to work on all of that. Memorizing the poem. If you're gonna read the poem, how you want yourself to look while you're reading the poem, essentially. But yeah, tip number 1 is to practice in front of the mirror. Tip number 2, right, is to practice in front of fans, friends, and family, right? And I've said this in other videos, and when it comes to your friends and your family, they are the people that support you the most, right? They're your biggest fans, your biggest supporters, and they're also going to be honest with you, right? So up front and initially, you have that comfort with them. There is no jitters, there is no nerves. You're not worried about them judging you. The comfort is there, right? So it shouldn't be an issue to practice in front of them. And at the same time, you know they're going to provide you with honest feedback. And I've said it before, honest feedback is going to help you improve as a writer, but also build your self-confidence, right? And you need feedback to grow, right? You have to learn to grow, right? So tip number 2 is to practice in front of friends and family, right? So tip number 3, let me get my notes real quick. Tip number 3 is to record yourself poem. Record yourself saying the poem or performing the poem. And the reason I'm telling you to record yourself is, believe it or not, it is not easy to talk to a camera. It is actually very weird and very awkward to talk to a camera. And the reason I want you to do it is it's essentially going to help you overcome that awkwardness, right? Because you're talking to no one, basically talking to a camera. And but it's a perfect opportunity for you to look back and watch the recording, right? It's different from watching yourself in the mirror, because in the mirror, you're watching yourself do the movements, if that makes any sense, right? But when you watch the recording and watch it on the screen, you're almost a spectator. You're one of the people that's in the audience. You're a fan of yourself, and it's great to see yourself performing from that perspective, because you're able to see how the audience is going to receive everything that you're giving them, right? So tip number 3 is to record yourself performing the poem, right? And then tip number 4 is to get on stage, right? And as always, I have to talk about myself. I had to bring some personal aspect into these videos to show you that I am a real person, and that I am also learning from these tips that I'm providing you. When I first started writing poetry, my first time on stage was in college. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I was a sophomore or junior in college, one of the two, 3 or 4 years ago. And we had this thing called a student spotlight, so our talent show where students can sign up and have the opportunity to perform and showcase their talent to the school. And I was nervous. A lot of my friends asked me to do it, but again, as always, I was too chicken or too afraid to do it or share anything. But there was a young lady that also wrote poetry that reached out to me and was very encouraging and asked me if I would do a show with her. And so we did a show together. We performed our poems separately, then we also did a couple group pieces together. And that was my first time on stage. I was nervous, but it was a huge sigh of relief, and I was so excited to have done it and complete it, and the positive feedback that I received from it was amazing. And ever since then, I haven't looked back, right? So my tip for you guys, my tip number 4 is to just get on stage and just do it. You can't overcome your fear. You can't get better at something until you do it. So simply just get on stage, right? And tip number 5, right? My 5th and final tip for you guys. And you're probably wondering, if tip number 4 is to get on stage, what could tip number 5 possibly be, right? So tip number 5 is to do it again, right? In all caps, as big as you can make the font, all exclamation points and emojis everywhere, is to do it again, right? And I really want you guys to pay attention to that last tip, because don't allow your first time on stage to be your only time on stage, right? You have to grow as an artist, and the only way to grow is to do and to show and to improve, right? Which is why I'm making these videos, to help you guys, encourage you guys through that process. And if you haven't been on stage yet, I encourage you to get on stage. And you have been on stage, share that story with me in the comment section below. I'm curious to see how that experience was for you. And if you're looking to get on stage very soon, hit me up. If I'm in an area, I'll come check you out. Go to open mics, do your student talent shows at your school, or poetry readings at the library, whatever they have in your community. But just get on stage, guys, and I promise you, you will be on your way to becoming more self-confident in the process, right? So if you enjoyed this video and my 5 tips to help you overcome stage fright, make sure you thumbs up for me and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And yeah, so every Sunday and Thursday you'll get a new writing tip from me, and then every Friday we're gonna have some fun, and you get to see me perform some poetry and utilize these tips that I'm sharing with you, right? So as always, thanks for watching. I love you, and your voice is your signature. Peace.